10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're live on terrestrial radio at 96.7 FM on the FM dial, FM band, however you want to put it. Terrestrial radio. We're also streaming at cklu.ca on the internet. You can just click on the Radio Player Canada app. Download us. Download the Radio Player Canada app, and you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/cybernews, youtube.com/cybernews. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Mainly comment. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching. Read for those listening. We're also found on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/cybernews and our news aggregating website, sudbury.news. Click on the Sudbury News Talk tab, and you can watch us after the show. We have special guests joining us this morning, Tom Price and Bob Johnston. They've been on the show a couple times talking about the analysis that they've made on the costs to the city of the event center and comparing it to the costs that we're hearing from the official sources in the city. And there's a lot of questions there as to whether or not we're being told the 100% truth from the city. Now, would that be any news to anybody who's had any experience in following any level of politics throughout the course of their lives? Well, no, there's nothing different about it. However, this show gives us an opportunity to unpack some of these questions and talk about it further. And so that's what we'll do. And we'll just dive in with a little bit of weather to start off, and then we'll welcome in Tom Price and Bob Johnston on the show, and we'll have another great conversation as usual. And with that, as I said yesterday on the show, that any city representative is welcome on the show anytime. For as long as they want, as many days as they want to come on the show, they're always welcome. This is a show to have, community discourse, dialogue, like back and forth, where it's not one side just trying to get more authority over another to be able to say their position. It's everybody's treated the same. Everybody is equal, just like everybody should be treated. And everyone gets the exact same opportunity to share their points of view. And then we have the people commenting who also hold myself accountable as an interviewer and the people that I'm interviewing accountable. So it's basically the people of this community. Everyone's able to say their piece. And I thought to myself, what better of a platform could we have to really discuss the things that are important for our community? I can't think of a better platform, but and if you have one, you can go out and make one yourself, just like I did, and help contribute to the conversation of our community issues that are important to us. So we'll dive in with a little bit of weather, and we'll be back with Tom Price and Bob Johnston right after this. Okay, Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca and Voyager Tire. Currently, it's 15 degrees, mostly cloudy out there. Today, we can expect the clouds to stick around with a 30% chance of showers or drizzle. Fog patches dissipating this morning, and then the wind will be moderate around 20 kilometers per hour. High of 21, but with the humidex, it'll feel like high of 25. UV index 5 or moderate. Tonight, cloudy, 30% chance of showers or drizzle. Fog patches developing overnight, low of 13. Thursday, mix of sun and cloud. That's tomorrow. 40% chance of showers or drizzle. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. High of 25 with the humidex. It'll feel like 28 and the UV index will be 8 or very high. Friday, 21, showers. Saturday, 40% chance of showers, high of 17. Sunday, 40% chance of showers, high of 12. And then on Monday, 30% chance of showers, high of 18. And then we finally get some sun in the forecast on Tuesday. So for the next foreseeable future until Tuesday, won't see much of the sun. And make sure to be taking your vitamin D because you won't be getting it naturally. Okay, not sure why the screen is blank, but we'll try that. And as of 4 a.m., that's what your forecast looked like, or sorry, your satellite looked like, with a lot of geoengineering happening over our skies. That's pretty much all there is. No natural cloud formations going on there, but that's the way you got it. And that's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca, along with Voyager Tire. We'll be back with Bob Johnston, Tom Price, and looking at some of the issues that our city is facing and some analysis of costs as we are all looking at costs these days. And so it's very important that we pay attention to the money that's going out because there's only so much money coming in. And unless you want to increase the money coming in, you really should pay attention to the money going out. So anyways, we'll be back with that, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, and as promised, we have Bob Johnston here to start us off, and then Tom Price will also join us. Good morning, Bob. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Great. The mic's working.
Sudbury.
Yes, and you do have Sudbury's ear right now. If they're tuned into CKLU 96.7 FM, anyone could be listening on their drive to work this morning, and then anyone could be watching afterwards on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Sudbury.news. So this is a wonderful opportunity to connect with the city of Sudbury and have this discussion. And so I know we got lots of stuff to talk about today. And I know Tom is there with you, correct?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, Tom. Hope you're having a good morning as well.
Yeah.
So
Good morning.
Good morning. So what is it that is on the roster today? What did you guys have in mind as some of the hot topics that we should be discussing?
We'll be speaking about homelessness and addictions, and Tom Price will be looking after finances and the environment.
Okay, well, those are some pretty heavy topics. So we only have like 40 minutes or so. So just to let everyone know, I'm going to get your comments up on the screen and a lot of just the morning shout-outs that I usually do, just to know that, we are aware of everybody here. And the comments, if everyone wants to go back and read them, as the show is on demand, Sudbury.com. We won't be covering any of the Sudbury.com, CTV, CBC, or Sudbury Star stories today because we have Bob and Tom on to discuss some of the things that are normally in the news anyways. And so with these morning shoutouts, I'll just get everybody up on the screen and you can watch the show on demand on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Sudbury.news. Okay, so let's dive right in. So you spend a lot of time with our people experiencing homelessness in the city. Bob, what kind of things did you want to shed light on today about that topic?
So before, homeless is across the whole province, country, and it's got to be dealt with. What happens in 2019 was the homeless was the homeless. And then what happened was when COVID walked in, we ended up with the homeless, the addictions, the mental health, and the criminals who were released from jail. And now they're all mixed in together. And my theory is we have to break that apart. And we have 130 organizations in Sudbury trying to help. Well, the addictions are the addictions. The mental health are the mental health. The homeless is homeless. Sunday I went out, talked to 20 people on the street who were homeless and only homeless, and 18 of them wanted housing. I am so sick and tired of the addictions of going to Facebook, seeing 15-year-old people, children, passing away, overdose. It's so sad. One suggestion is the school. When we went to school, we had no spares. Why do they have 2 spares a day right now when they can be taught life skills, the addictions, what life's all about? I think we could really save a lot of lives.
And just for the record, Bob, when I went to school, I did have a spare.
So you're younger than.
I'm maybe a little bit younger. So I'm 53. So I maybe was one of the first generations to get a spare, but I see what you're meaning. The way the education system is going, though, it's like there's this free time and whatever. And what are you going to do when you just got time on your hands and you're in high school? It might encourage you to go off and just experiment with different things rather than concentrate on your studies, I think is what you're kind of getting to there.
Exactly. So, for example, another situation what happened Sunday was I was following bylaw, and I seen bylaw go up to a tent with a couple and stated that you have 24 hours to move, go in the bush and hide, and I don't want to see you. Well, what does that do for our children? Number one. Number two, they're worried about finding needles in the bush and everything else. Well, what happens when we start finding bodies? It's way out of hand, and it's got to be pulled back in. We blew a perfect opportunity with that extended care Falconbridge. Okay, it was already a hospital situation outlook, and we could have made that the addictions and mental health of the North. Doctors on the main floor, patients all the way up. Not only does that look after our addictions and mental health, but it also frees up our hospital by about 5 to 6 hours waiting time, where the doctors won't be overwhelmed. So we got to keep the mental health with the mental health, the addictions with the addictions, and the homeless with the homeless. And it's the only way we're going to be able to break up this situation and make everybody with proper care. Hey, if an addict needs help, they need it now, not 6 months to a year from now.
100%. Yeah, 100% agreed on both of those, addictions and mental health. So there's 2 things I have to ask you here about so is that the city's kind of policy when they see people in a public place, like living where it's visible, they just say kind of get out of here and go somewhere as long as we don't see you, it's okay? Is that kind of what you're getting at there? And then speak to that. And then also, was there a campaign on to get extended care Falconbridge and now we have Lorraine Street instead of that? Is that what's happening? So 2 questions there. Is that what we do, just kind of get people to go into the bush so they're out of sight, out of mind? And then what happened with the extended care Falconbridge?
Well, the extended care Falconbridge was sold to, I believe it was John Lee for student housing.
Okay.
What a waste of a beautiful building. We could have really did addictions and mental health, put a real dent into it to cover the hub of Northern Ontario, like they say we are, but nothing ever gets done.
I guess there would have had to been some kind of a campaign in order to make that happen, though, like some movers and shakers kind of mobilize quick enough to have gotten that done, and it was just an opportunity that kind of fell through the cracks. Is that what happened with that?
Exactly. Well, there was no ideas, right? And I don't want to just put down our municipality or our city council all the time, but they got to start working with Jim Belanger a little better, and Jamie West and Franz Jonah. I mean, this is a big team effort, and get some people in the community who knows and cares and wants this problem solved. The homeless are the homeless. They want help. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing, no, they're not going to go nowhere. Speak to them. I do. They're beautiful people.
For sure.
And all they need is to find their self-value in them with some life skills. It's like the housing. Oh, we're going to get the new housing, blah, blah, blah. They don't have a clue how to change a light bulb, some of them. You're going to put them in a brand new unit and cross your fingers and hope it's runs good. There should be education and communication daily in this city on the streets, not just, they're not numbers anymore. They're human beings and they got to be treated like that.
For sure.
And
It's
I'm
all,
sure,
yeah, it's all about,
pardon me?
it's all about rehabilitation and education and supports in that way, rather than like lately we've had this big movement of harm reduction. Like harm reduction and rehabilitation are two at odds kind of philosophies. One is give safe drugs so that way they don't die. And that's the thing. They're going to die if we don't give them drugs. They're going to die, and that's okay. That could be good on some fronts. But then what? Okay, they didn't die. They got safe drugs, but now what? So there's other steps that need to be looked at. And like you're saying, there's rehabilitation. It's not only if you're on drugs, it's also life skills too. And just the fundamentals. Maybe they didn't have strong family structures or whatever that were able to teach them some of the basic skills. And so why aren't we looking at more practical things for that very marginalized group of our demographic in our country and in our community?
Well, exactly. And the money, what they pour into the city for band-aid solutions every year for the group of homeless is just unreal. You know what I mean? So we got to take this money and we got to put it down to where it belongs. Mental health, you need that appointment right away. Addictions, you need that help right away. And we don't have any. We have to be out on the street, outreach, communication, education. Just keep repeating it and repeating it until we all come to an agreement.
Yeah. And I think that's it just shows basically it's a sign of a collapse of a civilization myself, if you want the big picture, because you have to ask yourself, what are the root of all these problems? First of all, I don't think we're really getting to the root anywhere, because we're not the only community that's experiencing this. And it's happening on a wide ranging basis all over the world. Now, if we can come up with a solution in our community, at least, then we could be a light, at least, to other communities. But I think Alberta had a really good run there where they were focusing on rehabilitation rather than just harm reduction. And I think they've had much success with that. And I think that's the idea of these heart hubs that they have, the provincial government. I know that's started now in Sudbury, but they still have to hire some people. And it's also a reflection of our healthcare system in general. Like any one of us, if we have to get in to have something done, we're all waiting. Like none of us can just walk in and get something done when we need it. How many people passed away during COVID waiting for an operation or waiting for an appointment or waiting for a chemotherapy, or, how many fatalities did we have because of that? And it's not just COVID. It's still, that's just what we got to do. We always got to wait. So there's some big things here. I like what you suggested, though. Everybody on the same page, federal, provincial, and municipal, all working together. Because I think if you don't have that concerted, focused effort, it really does have everything to do with all these levels. Everyone has a piece of the puzzle kind of thing to contribute. And it just looks like we're all over the place and we're not able
Exactly.
to focus.
Well, their heads cut off. Who's going to be who's this and who's that? Well, you know what? In 2020,
It's okay. I got you, Bob. It's just your internet. Your internet's just kind of, you're still there.
am I still here?
Yep. You're still there. It's just your internet was kind of going a little bit wacky. Now you're kind of sideways there.
I know.
Sound is good. Okay, it looks like Bob's left us for a second. Now, one of the questions I want to ask Bob when he comes back is Mike Perron, who was on the show yesterday, meaning he checked in, he said, "Hey, good morning, guys," which he's done often and could very well be watching the show now or listening, and a few other counselors. I know different journalists and things tune into the show as well, just because we talk about community issues. Oh, Bob's back there, and I wanted to ask Bob as soon as he's back. He's a little smaller this time, but that's okay. Can you hear me, Bob?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. There you go. That's a little better. Now, I wanted to ask you, Mike Perront, Ward 5 councillor here in the city of Sudbury, has spearheaded a plan to end homelessness by 2030. And have you had any discussions with him about that, or do you know anything about that plan to end homelessness and how the city's planning on doing that?
Well, I heard of it, and no, I have had no discussions. One thing I do know is if it continues the way it is, we will be putting up a lot more white crosses, and we'll be finding bodies all over across the city. And in 2019, I stated that the addictions and mental health and homeless was going to multiply by 5. And everybody said, oh, no, what does Johnson know? Well, you know what? It multiplied by 5. Okay? Now, trust me, if we don't all start working together, it's going to be a disaster. And I'm not worried about any other city. I'm worried about Sudbury because this is where I was raised and born. Okay?
No, for sure,
And
yes.
I want us to do something. Let's step up to the plate and figure this out.
Now, didn't they have this
You know?
huge conference? Remember in Azilda, what was it, last year or the year before? The huge conference. We got all the players, all the stakeholders that have anything to do with, all together. What was your thoughts on what came out of that? Like, was anything constructive happen? Did anything constructive happen?
No, because I'm going to be honest with you. Number one, the city don't like me, which is fine. But number two, I have Tomorrow's Hope, which is my organization, and I don't have the rules like Canadian Mental Health and the addictions, where their job is to dot every I, cross all the T's, and take it from there. Okay, and they got to make it look pretty. Well, I don't make it look pretty. I talk the facts, I talk the truth, and I talk the way it is, and that's the difference. And I'm not blaming them. That's the position they're in. It's their employment.
Now, I always had a burning question here, and just like you, it's probably just to go down and talk to one-on-one with the people that are, experiencing homelessness. Are you originally from Sudbury? And if not, what brings you here? Have you had any? Do you have any kind of insight into that? Do a lot of the people we have here, what's the percentage of people that were born in Sudbury and now are experiencing homelessness compared to the ones that have come from other areas?
My personal opinion would be about % from out of town, 40% here. And the reason I say that is because we get a lot of through the summer through Manitoulin Island. And if you're ever bored one day, AJ, go up to the bus lines. Watch people that are getting off that bus. I got videos on my phone of, I would say, out of the 42 people on the bus, 15 are homeless, or 15 are here for rehab or some situation. So yes, we're bringing people in all over. It's not like they say, "Oh, build the arena and people will come." That's wrong.
Well, and it could still happen.
Build the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
The people are coming.
So your experience is that they're coming from just northern Ontario, like Manitoulin Island, North Shore, up north, around here, or are they coming from further areas?
Yep. No, there's not many who come much farther than that.
Okay. Because there were some claims
but
that.
There again, I mean, like we.
There were some claims there were some claims that Toronto was putting their homeless on buses and saying, "Oh, go up to Sudbury because they have more services up there," kind of thing. So you haven't seen any of that in your?
That's a very bare minimum.
Okay, good to know, because again,
Not many people come.
yeah, good, because I like to quell rumors if we're hearing rumors of things like that. So we have Natalie Labby here, who's commenting on the show, and I know I haven't been reading everybody's comments, but for Natalie's purpose, I think I will. Those stats on homelessness are available on the city's website. Bob is sharing misinformation about those stats. It's not 40%. Please ensure our guests are actually sharing facts, or your guests are actually sharing facts. Well, I can't make sure they're actually sharing facts, but what can happen is that people now, then they heard your comment. That's why it's so important that you share your comments, Natalie and Mike, or any other counselor, any representative from the city. So that way people can hear if someone's sharing something and you share something different, then it allows people to, on their own, which they should anyways, like you said, you pointed them to the city's website. That's the important thing. And that's why we're looking for this kind of dialogue. So do you have anything to say to that, Bob?
Yes. So most of the council are new, that's fine. The problem is they're not out on the streets. Okay, I've never seen a councilor out on the street. So I've been doing it for 15 years. Worked at the soup kitchen for 10. I got my addiction counseling, my mental health certificates. I got my law enforcement. I got the education, but not only just the education, I have the experience because I've been out there. And I know exactly what these people want. In 2020, I had 85% of the people on the streets wanting housing. I went to the city. They cannot help me. So, like I said, people got to watch what they say. I just speak the truth and the facts. What I say today, I'll say a year from now, and the words won't change.
And
that's the difference.
And it is interesting when you do have firsthand experience, and that is a source of facts. It's a firsthand fact. If you're out there doing something, when you're putting a business plan together, you can go out and get your own facts by doing surveys and things, and that's firsthand facts. So it is a form of a fact. And then you can take statistics,
exactly,
secondary statistics, and we know what statistics are. They're only as good as how they're gathered, kind of thing. And sometimes statistics, as we know, aren't 100% true either. That's just a fact. So Natalie goes on to say, City works with dozens of outreach services and agencies who don't work for the city and provide those stats. Also, ask Bob if he can summarize the report from the homeless meeting in Azilda last year. I'm going to bet he can't provide facts, only his opinion.
To be honest with you, I don't have the facts right now.
Okay, and that's fair.
I've been more worried about downtown, but I'm admitting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I could ask Natalie why do they send homeless in the bush? Why does bylaw do that? And I heard that actually from the horse's mouth. And I also have other people who I love city council for it. I'd love for city council to come up with me for a day. I run things in the city and so and see what's what. I mean,
now I've had that
but
report.
anyways, on that note, I'd like to give the phone over.
Yeah, we'll get Tom here in on this thing. And while we're waiting for Tom to come on here, I'm just going to say that the report I had on my computer for the longest time, it's a very robust report from that meeting in Azilda. Lots to be said there. And I would encourage you to read it, Bob, because at least you'll then know what the city is kind of already discussing, what they've done, at least in the meetings and stuff. And then you can compare that to what you're seeing as well on the streets. You would be a little bit more informed as well. Now, like I said, I haven't read the whole report. It's very exhaustive. I've went through it But yeah, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that. If you saw any good come from that meeting or changes kind of in the ecosphere of the homeless kind of thing. But that's fine. This discussion is at least started, and we hope to continue it.
Yeah, because besides the meeting, it's getting worse. Okay, I ran a shelter in 2020 at Grace Family Church, and it was a headache. And then the city and Grace Family Church ran it the last year, and it went downhill. But anyways, like I said, the counselors could reach to me if they wish. Here's Tom Price. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. And yes, I think it's just good.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tom. And I'm just grateful that Natalie has commented here, because this is what we definitely want to have. We want to have a discussion because it's different than being in a council meeting. It's different because in council, as you know, it's very structured. You're given 5 minutes. That's it. You know, you got to ask certain questions. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I object with this person speaking," and I think you've gone through some of this before. Tom, you said you're in a meeting one time at the city council where they discussed for 45 minutes whether they should let you talk for 5 minutes. And so this isn't one of these forums. This is just an open forum to be able to speak freely and share your side and then the other side as well. And just like when you go to a court of law and you hear the prosecution, you hear the defense, you can make up your own mind like a judge, the judge we should be. So welcome, Tom. Hope what are we discussing this morning? What's on the docket?
Well, two quick things. First of all, environment, and secondly, finance, revolving around the event center. We still have not seen an environmental assessment of the impact of the event center. Why? Because we have not yet seen an estimate for the event center. If they do an estimate, a Class D estimate, it has to have the environmental impact in it. And the environmental impact of that event center, as it sits right now, is it will contribute close to 500,000 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that's not all inclusive. That's about half of the total impact of it. Even the additional cars that will be coming to the events there have not been included. So we passed a climate change emergency declaration some time ago. Council approved spending $1 billion by 2050 to address climate change. What are they doing? They're building bicycle lanes that will take one person out of a car and put the one person on a bicycle. The same amount of money could put in mass transit that could take 70 people out of cars and put 70 people on a train car. What are we doing about it? Nothing. They won't even consider it. The tracks are all there. Everything is all there. The money would be minimal, and it would be financed partially by the feds and partially by the city, partially by the province. So are they serious about climate? Not at all. They don't even know what it means. There's something that's called embodied carbon in, for example, the existing arena. We already emitted the carbon dioxide from the construction of that arena back in 1950. Now they want to tear it down and emit more and build a new arena and emit probably twice as much as it would have been back then. So my only comment is when they get serious about environment, then we can start considering doing something ourselves. Second thing is the financing. The financing by city documents of that arena right now is $400 million, not $200 million. Interesting that you had Mr. Pratt on yesterday. Did he talk about the $200 million? And if he didn't, then he's not doing his duty, because it is $400 million. And just for interest's sake, people who look at statistics put a lot of store in trend. In 2015, the investment was $6 million. 2017, $100 million. 2022, they got a bid back. It went to $200 million. 2024, they reported the 200 million, but they did not include the interest on the money, which takes 400 million. Cost of the event center has a habit of doubling every time they come up with a new statement. All of those, up 2024, we were told this year by Mr. Cooley that that was just a conceptual cost. They haven't done a Class D estimate.
Okay. So
Well,
Tom,
that's
just
gonna go. Is that
Tom-
gonna double again?
Tom, just to let you know, Tom,
Yeah.
you're sounding a lot like Stephen Hawking right now due to the internet connection. And it's I was waiting for it to get better, It's just really choppy, so I'm just cutting in here for a bit. It's just very, very choppy, so I'm just talking for a second here to maybe let your internet rest a bit and come back. Hopefully it'll be better, because you're giving a lot of the figures and we weren't really hearing, because you went 2016, 17, 18, you were giving those, but it was very choppy. So if you want to sum that up, have costs been going up over the years, and then where we're at now with the costs?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I could only hear you when you said, "Can you hear me?"
No.
So let's go right now. Hopefully now it's better.
What's happening every 3 years?
And we've lost Tom Price and Bob Johnston. Their internet, I don't know, seemed fine at first, and then yeah, that's just what happens when you hit the wrong thing on your show. Let's see what happens here. Okay, there. So they're probably going to come back at some point. I can see there they are there. So hopefully they're back here. Hopefully the internet is a little better. You guys we lost you for a second there. So hopefully you're back.
Okay. Can you hear me?
It's choppy. You sound like Stephen Hawking, and even sometimes even more choppy than that. But that's your internet connection. I'm not sure where you're at or what connection you have, but it's not the great. It's not the greatest right now.
But it's a very complex. Did you hear me?
Yeah,
I said Stephen Hawking is a very high compliment.
Okay. I can hear you there. Okay, so let's continue anyways.
Give me one second, AJ.
Okay. There's only 4 minutes left in the show, just to let you know. So hopefully you guys can get that resolved.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Very clear, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. The cost of the event center has doubled every time they've come back with a new presentation. It went from 60 million to 100 million to 200 million, and now with interest, it's up to 400 million. Those are all based on concept estimates, not on a proper Class D estimate. What's it going to be when they do the Class D estimate? Now, we've been called liars for saying that, but those are the city numbers. Now, no one at the city has gotten back to us. We've applied to sit down with them and discuss this stuff. They haven't even acknowledged receipt of our application. They did accept receipt, I understand, from CARP's application and refused to hear them. So what's the big cover up? Are they afraid that we're true, that we're telling the truth? Because we are. And are they afraid of the embarrassment that's going to cost them? Well, they don't have to be embarrassed if they just admit that they were wrong, and let's get on with telling the truth from now on.
And that's my point too, is that I don't even know if people in the city would, I don't know, maybe there'd be some people who would, not want it or whatever, but if they just came out and said the actual costs, I don't know I still think they would have the same people supporting it that support it now and the same people not supporting it that don't support it. I think some people are just really excited for a new arena, and some people just figure, why tear down something that works when we already have the old arena. And I think there's just people in those camps.
I, okay, I heard that because when it came back and go from 100 million to 200 million, people were upset and they canceled the project. It goes to 400 million, people are going to be even more. And if it goes higher than that when they get the peak, why are we wasting money on that? We can use the money to do road work, we can use it to works, we can use it to help the homeless, the addictions, and there's nothing. Well, we got an error again.
Yeah, exactly. So all this money that's being used for the event center could be used to go to our roads, go to the homeless, go to things that we really need that are kind of we were talking about at the beginning of the show. The city could use a lot of help in a lot of ways. And is this event center the best use of money? That's a question. I would love to see a new arena myself, and so I'd love to see that happen. And yes, Dustin, I know it was hard. Their internet connection was really bad there, so we'll have to maybe postpone. They're back again, so we'll just have to let them know that the internet connection just wasn't sufficient, and maybe come back on at some other point, another show. So Tom, yeah, the internet connection was really bad. You went away, so we'll have to postpone this interview maybe to another time or whatever. And again, it's similar to what we were talking about before. And so if anyone watches the show before, they are able to get these stats. So if someone wanted to go and read the very things you're talking about, the analysis that you've made, where can they find this?
Environmental and the cost items I'm talking about. And further to that, the cost actually in $2,000 suggested that they can commit border.
Okay, yeah, no, it's not working. The internet connection. You either sound like you're a character out of Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica. One of those whatever they call those Cylons. It sounds like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. If anyone remembers that show or that series, I'm dating myself here, but unfortunately, yeah, it's not. We can't really understand. We hear a word here and there, and I know a lot of the viewers have dropped too because of that. But we'll have you guys back on. We'll kind of maybe work on the internet connection and things like that, so we can have it clearer. And again, there's lots of shows in the future. We're on every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 on CKLU, and you're welcome anytime, along with anybody from the city. I'd actually love to have somebody from the city and you guys on and set a timer for a minute at a time. Okay, you got a minute to talk about your side. You got a minute to talk. And I have a mute button here, so I could actually make that happen, no problem. As soon as the minute's over, the mute goes on, and the next person's able to speak. If that's something somebody feels comfortable from the city speaking to, right, in a public forum, rather than in a very, intimidating place, which is city council meeting, because it's not always it doesn't seem like the most fair place. Just from I just see, I see this being a lot more fair than that. Just being able to give people a chance to talk, at least, not telling people they're wrong and telling people to stop talking. It's just let people talk, give your opinion or facts, and then let people look into it for themselves. It's always the best solution. It's not the kind of society we're becoming. We're definitely not going that way as a society. So again, thank you, Tom, for being on today. I really appreciate it. And Bob, thank you very much. Again, the sound isn't the greatest due to the internet connection, but we'll have you guys on sometime soon. Thank you very much for being on.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. And now they're very clear right at the end of the show. That's the way technology goes sometimes. You just never know. We'll be back same time, same place on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU, 96.7 FM. And remember to stay aware, like, share, and take care. See you tomorrow. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.